In my early 20s, I was at a meditation retreat at the Satchitananda ashram. And we were having a chat with the meditation teacher. She was addressing the group, and she made a joke about us becoming enlightened over the course of that weekend. And everybody laughed, and I can't remember what the joke was. But it was one of those sarcastic kind of jokes where, in jest, it was, oh yes, unless you become enlightened over the weekend, and everyone went, ha ha ha. And I had a little laugh as well, and then I looked around and I just went, none of these people believe in becoming enlightened over the course of this weekend. And it surprised me. And I thought to myself, but if we're not believing in being enlightened, what's the point? Why are we all here? That was my thought process at the time. And it seemed to everybody, it seemed as though they believed enlightenment was this enormous achievement, this really, really big thing that was never going to happen in their lifetime. And if you have come to spiritual awakening, or the process of spiritual awakening through a tradition such as this, those beliefs can then creep in that, and I've been to many types of gatherings such as this through different traditions, and it seems to be a similar theme. It's only for the great masters. Only the great masters can be awakened. And you have to ask yourself, well, what am I doing here? If it's only for the great masters, if it's this exclusive thing, and if it's really, really hard to achieve, what am I doing? And this isn't the case. Being lighter, or being awake, or spiritually speaking, awake, I like to call it available, having your attention available to what is occurring in your life at this moment, the immediate moment, and your experience happening now. Being awake to that, being available to that, being lighter, not serious, not heavy, not carrying around a heavy burden of past. That is a possibility for every human, even if it's only for a moment, a short moment. That is a possibility for everyone. It's not only for the great masters. And the great masters, since we're using that term, probably knew this. And that's why they have extended this teaching to you. Because they know that this is within your grasp. It's not a big achievement. It isn't separate from who you are. They know that it is within reach for you. So what happens when we consider awakening to be a big deal is we can overlook, not notice those little awakenings that you have along the way of your journey. It can be rather ordinary when you do have glimpses of awakening, rather than looking for some big event. You know, you have a sudden shift in consciousness and the mind goes, wow, I'm doing it, I'm awake, that's it, I'm enlightened from now on. And then that in itself, those thoughts could draw you to re-identify with them again. That's a possibility. That if, you know, you were to have a sudden shift, that you might then re-identify with the thinking mind, with the self that cares about big achievements, you know, that's concerned that adds to who you are and gives you an identity. I am a master. If you have an identity as a master, that's not it. It's ordinary. Let's pretend it's ordinary for now. Let's just go with that and speak about that a little bit, the ordinariness of awakening. So you'll have little glimpses in your life, even now, when you perhaps witness something extraordinary or beautiful, and you stop for a moment and you give it your attention. And there's a gentle, quiet peace or stillness there. That is one of those little awakenings where your attention is brought into the stillness that you are. And that's why a beautiful sunset can really create a sense of joy or peace, but it's subtle. It can be really subtle and really powerful. And that's always available. You'll have other moments, you know, you might just be when you're sitting at night by the fire and your cat's there on your lap and it's purring away contentedly, and you give it your attention and you notice little hairs on its nose and the sound that it's making and how completely at peace with the world it is. And in that moment, you're still. You're not caught up in the mind and worried about what's going to happen tomorrow or ruminating over what happened yesterday. You're just giving this moment your attention, and it's not obscured by the mind, by this conceptual version of who you think you are. So awakening is quite ordinary. Spiritual awakening. It can seem extraordinary depending on the contrast with your regular state of existence. It can seem extraordinary, but it is simply bringing your alert attention to the part of you that is continuous. It's a part that exists, remains. It's a part that is there, that allows you to be, that allows your experience as a human being to have its place in this world. And it's always there. This is who you are. It doesn't die, it continues. It's a continuous you. And we come to this place and we have this experience and we get caught up in the personality and the mind, and then we develop this heavy past, this burden that we carry with us, and we carry it all with us right here. It's in the energy. Sometimes it gets lodged in the body, sometimes it becomes a disease in the body. But everything that you are is right here and now. All of those past experiences that you had happened in a prior now moment. And you've held on to that. that doesn't exist anymore. It did at the time, but it doesn't exist now. Now, you might be carrying the consequences or the emotions or the thought patterns with you now. But it's all here and it's all available to you now. What the awakening process is when you disidentify from all of that. When you recognize that there isn't joy to be found in believing that that's who you are. There's no satisfaction found when you think you are those things that have happened to you or those roles that you play. They're just things that have happened. Yes, some of them can be very challenging. Some of the roles that you play might give you a sense of satisfaction for a short while. Other roles that you play can cause great suffering. But none of that is ultimately who you are. And as you awaken, you start to peel away from that. Your attention, your awareness moves away from that more and more. And it's not a big thing. It's just about witnessing. Okay, I had a sense then that I thought I was better than that person because I knew more than them. Or I was able to be more mature in that moment, and therefore I did notice that I got a bit of a kick out of that, and I felt like that enhanced my sense of self. Just be aware of that. Or I felt less than that person because I did something really silly. Or I'm a bad person because I did something horrible. Or I can't, especially if you're spiritually focused and you want to be a good person, oh, I can't believe I snapped at that person or I was short with them. You know, I should know better. It's okay. The more you recognize those patterns, the less power they have to influence your experience, and the less power they have to assert themselves in your life experience. So, yes, okay, maybe you did something you're not proud of. Recognize that. Recognize the feelings associated with that. But all of that is here with you now. So if there's a feeling associated with that, you feel it in the now. And if that is what your moment brings to you, this is the reality of your moment. And this is where you can find relief from that. Just a little bit of relief. That's awakening. That's spiritual awakening. Experiencing what presents to you in this moment, whether it be an internal experience, an emotional experience, whether you notice some thoughts that are arising in your mind because of that. For example, you feel guilty because you behaved in a way you didn't want to towards somebody you care about. What thoughts come up around that? Oh, I'm a terrible person, I shouldn't have done that. Maybe, what do they think of me now? Maybe next time I could do blah, blah, blah. Just notice that. If that's where you're at, if that's what you're feeling, if that's what you're thinking, that's the reality of your moment. Noticing it is awakening. And it can be helpful to anchor some of your awareness and your attention in the physical body. That is a really good practice. Bringing your attention to your physical body is an excellent practice for helping to disidentify from those emotions and those thoughts, and realizing and recognizing that isn't who I am. I'm not the thoughts, I'm not the emotions. Yes, I'm having those thoughts and those emotions, and that doesn't make them any less important. They're still a part of your human experience, but you don't have to suffer them, and you can move deeper and get a sense for who you really are that's beneath that. And then when you can do that, you can let life be, you can let life happen. You're not a bundle of conditioned responses